Some may be wondering why this issue is being looked at now. To be clear, I cannot determine whether an application is made. I have to consider any application when it comes to me. In this case, having taken advice, I have decided to allow the House to come to a view on whether the Committee of Privileges should look at the matter. It is not for me to make any decision or view. Therefore, the Leader of the Opposition will have the opportunity to put the matter to the House tomorrow. The debate will be taken after any urgent questions and statements or any 10-minute rule bill.
Can the Minister confirm that nothing will be redacted with regard to pressure brought to bear on the Foreign Office about the vetting process?
Redactions are done in line with the policy I've set out previously.
Ministers will be asked whether they have any communications left on their personal phones. Are they also being asked to tell you, and are we going to be told, if those messages have disappeared because they've got disappearing messages on their phones?
Question short and omit the word "you," because I'm not responding. Chief Secretary.
Sorry, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the honourable member is not happy with my performance. I'll try harder in the future. In relation to his question, I refer him to my previous answer.
In respect of the humble address, and perhaps contrary to what was suggested earlier, the House only agreed to this on the basis that Labour MPs were about to rebel against the position that the then government had adopted. Well, tomorrow, something very similar may arise in respect of a potential referral of the Prime Minister to the Privileges Committee. Surely the Chief Secretary has an opinion as to whether his members behind him would want to have a free vote in respect of whether the Prime Minister has misled the House or not.
I always enjoy the interventions of the right honourable gentleman, Madam Deputy Speaker, but it doesn't pertain to the motion before us.
It is time that the government came clean, not on its own terms, not to its own timetable, but to the terms set down by the House. So will he finally tell us a hard deadline for when these documents will be handed over?
The Prime Minister told the House, and I quote, "No pressure existed whatsoever in relation to this case." That is not what the record shows. Let me read Sir Ollie Robbins' exact quote. "Throughout January, my office and the Foreign Secretary's office were under constant pressure. There was an atmosphere of constant chasing." So how can the Prime Minister tell us that Sir Ollie Robbins said no pressure existed whatsoever? Calling this a stunt is disrespecting this House and disrespecting the Speaker. It's very obvious, listening to the media and their tweets, it's very obvious they've all been told to come here today, tell everybody it's a stunt, tell everybody it's a stunt. Why are they acting like sheep? Why are they acting like sheep? They should be better than that. We will be counting, by the way, some people might even be shouting bingo, at how many times people stand up and say that this is a stunt in this debate. We're looking forward to it. This is not a matter of party loyalty. It is a matter of what each and every one of us believes is right. They are being asked to defend a man who has let the country down, he has let Parliament down, and let's be honest, he has let the Labour Party down. So I say to Labour MPs today, you can defend the Prime Minister today, and there are enough of you to get through the vote, but you will be complicit in a shameful abandoning of promises made to the electorate, promises every Labour MP stood on.
There is a second key element of due process that I don't think has been properly teased out so far this afternoon, and that is with regard to the timing of the decision on vetting through January 2025. Because if full due process was being followed, then the security authorities, the vetting authorities, should have been allowed to take whatever time they deemed necessary to make their judgment. And with regard to Mandelson, goodness me, there's a lot to go through to check that clearance. Clearly, we've heard from a number of senior civil servants that actually they were not allowed to carry out full due process and to take as long as they determined was necessary, even if that took them beyond the inauguration of the President of the United States. No, I bring you on now, Madam Deputy Speaker, to the second word, which is whether or not any pressure whatsoever was applied. And we've heard from not one, not two, but from 3 separate senior civil servants that actually the pressure was not on the decision itself, the pressure was indeed on the speed of the decision, because the decision had already been taken by not following due process. And we have heard Sir Ollie Robbins confirm that pressure was felt to get on with the decision. We've heard yesterday from Ian Collard that actually pressure was applied to make that decision. And we've heard, of course, from Sir Philip Barton that actually, again, he said the pressure was to get on with it. There was no space in the decision. There was no space in that. In other words, due process was not followed. Madam Deputy Speaker, the evidence is in. And for a Prime Minister that prides himself on process, anecdotally, it seems that there is a culture that does not exist around him and within him and perhaps himself. For example, we now know that the Cabinet Office questioned whether or not there should be any vetting at all. In other words, they didn't want full due process. So we know that. And we now know that Sir Ollie Robbins, in terms of the decision whether or not to retain him or fire him, clearly full due process was not followed. And then the issue of whether or not this decision to refer any member of the House to the Privileges Committee, precedent clearly shows that it should not be whipped.
Mr. Speaker, he's broken his promise to grow the economy. The only thing that's grown is the welfare bill. Instead of getting a grip on the economy, the Chancellor is briefing out rent controls to curry favour with left-wing backbenchers. This is not a serious way to run the economy. It is time the Prime Minister gives her an easier job. So will he listen to businesses, listen to the country and reshuffle the Chancellor?
Mr. Speaker, at the spring statement, the Chancellor was very proud to say inflation was down to 3% and falling, 6 interest rates in a cut. We've seen the growth figures for the early part of this year. And she says, well, the cost of borrowing's gone up. Yes, because there's a conflict in Iran. And what did she want to do? What did she want to do when I said we wouldn't be dragged into that war because I thought through the consequences, including the economic consequences? What did she do? She said we should jump in with both feet without regard to the consequences. She can't complain now about the implications.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't hear him say he's not reshuffling the Chancellor. It sounds like she's toast. Meanwhile, the former Deputy Prime Minister is on manoeuvres. This government is like a bad episode of Game of Thrones. His own people have turned against him, and all the while, the Prime Minister is holed up in his castle, wetting himself about a visit from the King in the North. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, one Labour MP actually said that his days are numbered. That's one of them. I wonder who it was, because they're all looking guilty as hell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Women all over Britain, including in my constituency of Great Yarmouth, primarily on King Street, feel intimidated, harassed and abused in their own town centres. Disproportionately, this unacceptable behaviour is committed by young foreign men imported from cultures and religions that treat women like dirt on the bottom of their shoe. Will the Minister today commit to a national audit of street harassment, intimidation and sexual offending by nationality and immigration status so the British people can finally see the scale of the problem?
Here we go again, Mr. Speaker. I note that an investigation by a KC into the honourable member's conduct concluded that there was credible evidence that he had mistreated 2 female members in a way that, and I quote, Mr. Speaker, in a way that seemed to amount to harassment. I don't want to hear anything from him about violence against women and girls or harassment.
Does he understand that Yes, it's because of inaction on the cost of living crisis. Yes, it's because of the debacle of the winter fuel payment. Yes, it's because of the 1,000 jobs being lost a month in Scotland's North Sea and the closure of Grangemouth. Yes, it's because of his judgment on Matthew Doyle and Peter Mandelson. But above all else, the reason why his time in office will soon be coming to a close is because he promised change but has delivered chaos.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of what this Labour government has achieved, and I'm proud of what we will achieve.
Please could the Prime Minister explain to the House, if he's done nothing wrong and process has been followed, why did he need to force his MPs to vote against an investigation? Is it because he's worried they don't believe his version of the truth?
Yes.
No, it's because they can see a baseless allegation, a political stunt when they see it.